Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer, and today I'm going to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. Hello, TikTok, hey, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. How are you guys doing? I'm Brian Manning. My law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers because that's what we do is we help people secure asylum, secure their future in America through asylum. It's all we do all day, every day is asylum. So I'm going to answer your questions today about that, about asylum. Let me know in the comments what questions you have. But first, before leaving the questions, say hello. Let me know what's going on. Tell me where you're watching from. Mr. Monique says hello on YouTube. We got Pella saying hello, Brian, on YouTube. Where are you watching from today? TikTok. Good to see you. Good to see you, Celestine. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Jose Antonio, how are you? Hello from California, says Alike de Bayo. Nice, California. We had a lot of clients in California, especially all over California, but especially in the Northern California. We got tons in, a lot up in San Francisco, around that part of California, in the Bay Area. Hello. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining on YouTube to this community, to this Asylum Answers show. We got Ayuba Moro says hello. How are you, Ayuba? As asking questions. I'm going to get to your questions in just a minute, guys. We've got Victoria says hello, Brian, from San Francisco. One of our San Francisco community members up there. I love San Francisco. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, honestly. And we've got Nojim watching from Maryland. Washington, D.C., near Maryland, is another one of my favorite cities in the world. I lived in D.C. for a couple of years, spread out over 3 different stints. I love it there. Oh, and we got HUDs in Seattle. I love Seattle, too. Lots of great cities represented. Pella in California. Nice. Thanks for joining. So listen, go ahead and leave your questions. Let me know in the comments what questions you have about asylum in the United States, okay? And I'm going to answer them, all right? But first, I want to say a couple words about this. What happens if things go poorly at your asylum interview? By poorly, today I'm not talking about like just you have trouble articulating yourself or you get hard questions. I mean, what if the asylum officer is like really a jerk or really unprofessional? Like if they just won't let you talk, if they're like, just answer the question. Nope, give me a yes or no answer for everything. Or maybe they're even more aggressive with you and like actually insult you, or say something just really insensitive or rude, or just act unprofessional, right? What do you do? Because listen, it happens. Some of these asylum officers are not super professional. Listen, most of them are. Most of them are pros. Most of them are professional, and they'll treat you okay. But sometimes they don't. All right. The asylum office has started hiring the last couple of years, I think, at a lower grade, meaning fewer qualifications required to get hired for the job. Like they'll hire at sort of a lower pay level and lower qualifications on the scale. And I think that's led to lower quality overall in terms of like the actual decisions that are made, but also just the lower level of professionalism. So we do sometimes see this. We see people act like jerks. In fact, when I was an asylum officer, there was an asylum officer his office was near mine, and he would literally yell. I would like screaming, like literally screaming at people. And when he got frustrated, when they didn't answer his questions the way that he wanted them to, or when they had trouble, being concise, he would literally yell at people. Very unprofessional. So this happens sometimes, right? And listen, it's not okay for that to happen. And you do not want to suffer and have your interview suffer because of it, because you're going to get rattled, right? If an asylum officer is a jerk or unprofessional, it's going to probably affect you and your ability to tell your story and present your case in a meaningful, impactful way like you need to do, right? So what do you do when the officer is unprofessional? Well, first of all, if it's not too severe, you can try to address it with them directly. So for example, if they keep cutting you off and interrupting you and they won't let you hardly get an answer, and you could say, officer, it feels like I'm having a hard time being able to express myself because you keep cutting me off when I'm trying to explain myself. And I know that, I know you're taking notes, and I know that I can't just talk, too long, but I really would appreciate if you would at least let me get in a couple sentences, and then I'll take a pause and continue after that. But I feel like you're not letting me talk and express myself, and I would like to be able to do that. Could you please be a bit more flexible? That's what I would say, okay? If I was just getting cut off over and over and over again, couldn't express myself, all right? But listen, if that continues and you just can't tell your story because they won't let you, or if it's something grave, like something that's just mean or just very unprofessional, then you don't have to confront them directly. You can just stop and say, "Officer, could I please speak to your SAO?" SAO is the asylum officer's supervisor. SAO stands for Supervisory Asylum Officer, and that's the title of their boss. And then you go talk to that, and they'll say yes. They may try and talk you out of it and be like, "No, it's okay. We'll just continue." But once you've asked that, I would say don't back down, don't give up. Instead, just be like, "No, I'd really like to talk to your SAO, please." And then once you do get to talk to that person, tell them what happened. You need to try to use concrete facts. You can't try not to get emotional about it or be like accusatory in an emotional way, but rather give objective, concrete facts about what happened and why it was, unfair to you. And then say, "I would like you to please to have my interview rescheduled with a different asylum officer." So what you're doing is you're asking for like another chance, but with another asylum officer. All right. Because, once you've made the decision to sort of go over the asylum officer's head and go to tell on them to their supervisor, you've sort of burned that trust with them, or you've soured that relationship to where you're not going to probably get a fair shake from them anymore. So you want to have your interview with a different officer, okay? And the supervisory asylum officer will almost certainly say, "Okay, that's fine." If it's like early in the day near your original interview start time, they might be able to send you to a different officer that same day. They'll just have that officer review your case file for like 30 minutes and then have you start. But usually they'll say, "Okay, we're going to have to reschedule you. You'll come back in like a week or 2 or 3 for a new interview with a different officer." Okay. If the SAO won't do that, or if they're rude to you, you can ask to speak to their supervisor, who is called the section chief. So if you're talking to the SAO and you're not getting anywhere, you can say, "I'd like to speak to the section chief, please." And that person should give you what you want, which is to reschedule your interview with a different officer. Okay. So that's what I recommend. I know it's a pain to have to go back to the asylum office and have to start the interview again and all that. But I think it's worth it. Okay. Cause you want to be with an officer who is fair and just and letting you explain your case. All right. It's crucial. All right. So that's what I recommend. Let's go to the questions. Actually, before I get to your questions, if you want to talk with us about your asylum case, go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's winasylum.com. Listen, if you followed on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn for more than 5 minutes, you know that I'm always talking about this thing called a Mandamus lawsuit, or an asylum delay lawsuit. When you've been waiting for multiple years for your asylum interview or your decision, and you're sick of waiting and you want to move on with your life by getting your interview so that you can win your case, you can sue the government to do this, okay? And I talk about this all the time because it's great. It's a super, super powerful tool. Our clients love it because it works. We're offering a year-end discount just through the end of the year, November, December. Come January 1st, this discount is gone. Right now, we're offering a discount of $500 only on this particular case type, on this asylum delay lawsuit called a Mandamus lawsuit. So if you've been waiting for multiple years and you're thinking like, "Oh, I might want to move my case forward," now is the time to act, not just because of this discount, more importantly, really because of the Trump effect, okay? I think with every passing month that Trump is in office, I think it's going to become increasingly hard to win your asylum case. I think the approval rates are going to go down and down and down over time and be increasingly low throughout the next Trump administration. So the faster that you can get your case done, I think the better, all right? So if you want to talk with one of our asylum professionals about this, go to winasylum.com, 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 okay? that is that. What questions do you have about winning asylum in the United States? Let's go to the questions. All right. Hello. All right, so we've got Mr. Monique says, can I win asylum without any solid proof in New York City or San Francisco courts? Also, what's the approval rates for Turkish asylum seekers in U.S. courts, approximately based on politics or religion? So we'll address it like this, two different questions. The first question is this. Is it possible to win asylum without any solid evidence? Yeah, the answer is yes, it is. You can win asylum based just on your testimony. I mean, without any evidence whatsoever. As long as your testimony, meaning what you say on the day of your interview or hearing, as long as your testimony is detailed, consistent, and plausible. That's what the law says, is you can win asylum based on your testimony if your testimony is detailed, consistent, and plausible. Now, does it help to have documentary evidence backing up what you're saying? Of course it does. If there's things that you can get that support your case, that back it up, yeah, you should try to get those, all right? But the good news is it's possible to win without it. Now, in immigration court, judges tend to be a little bit more strict and they want to see more evidence. At the asylum office, it's pretty normal actually to win without any evidence whatsoever. So that's good news, right? There you go. Now, the second question, the other question that you asked was this. What are the chances for winning asylum as a Turkish asylum seeker with a case based on politics or religion? I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but pretty high approval rates, all right, compared to a lot of other nationalities. Why? Well, Turkey has had its problems, and the kind of people that end up coming to the United States to seek asylum often have a pretty solid case growing out of these exact two things that you mentioned in the question, religion and or politics. We've had success. We've had a lot of success with Turkish clients with my law firm. And also when I was an asylum officer previously with the government, I handled a lot of cases from Turkey at that time. So we know these cases really well. We've had a lot of success. We should talk about this. If you're from Turkey and you're considering seeking asylum, go to winasylum.com. The website is winasylum.com, winasylum.com to schedule a consultation. Let's talk. All right. In the courts, you asked Mr. Monique in the courts versus you asked New York City or San Francisco. Both of those courts have very high approval rates, among the highest in the country every year. So that's good. New York Asylum Office has a low approval rate, but the immigration court has a very high approval rate. All right. Hello, Victoria's in San Francisco. Hello. We've got all right. So this is a good question. Velvet versus if my statement and my interview are consistently meeting the criteria for getting asylum, but the AO personally does not believe me or doesn't like me, will they deny me? Good question. Let's frame it like this. The question is this. What if everything about your case is solid and you've presented a good case, a solid case, both on paper and in your testimony during your asylum interview, and it seems like you should clearly meet all the requirements for asylum? Can you still lose your case? Can you still be denied? The answer is, yeah, you can. There's a lot of asylum officers out there who are anti-immigrant, who are just looking for excuses to deny people, and they'll pick apart your case. They'll try to find little things, especially that look like inconsistencies, so they can say, oh, there was too many inconsistencies. Your testimony is not credible, therefore you're denied. Or they will selectively cherry pick country conditions information about your country to say, oh, look, you don't need asylum or you don't qualify. Now, if you present your case really, really well, like with a lawyer who is really good, it becomes increasingly hard for them to do that. All right. So keep that in mind. It matters. But yeah, it's still possible. Even with a good lawyer, it's still possible to lose. Even if you have a good case, a real case, a legit case, a deserving case, people still lose. And, the good news is look, the approval rates recently in the last few years have been higher in the immigration court than at the asylum office. So if you lose at the asylum office, all hope is not lost. You may still be able to win your case in immigration court, okay? Good question. Victoria says, in September, I completed 3 years of waiting for my interview. I'm in San Francisco. When can I reach out to start the Mandamus process? Right now. Seriously, Victoria, right now. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, and schedule a consultation with one of our asylum professionals. All right, but let me address it like this. The question is this. How long do you have to wait before filing an asylum delay lawsuit to move your stalled asylum case forward? So listen, there's no set rule anywhere about this. But we find, based on our experience, and we've done this a lot lately, we've filed over 100 of these in the last maybe year and a half or so, and we haven't lost a single one yet. Listen, caveat, past performance does not guarantee any kind of future results, but I can tell you it's been super successful to date. How long do you have to wait? In our experience, we're telling people 3 years. 3 years from the time that you filed your application until now is when we think that you're at a good place to be able to have success with this Mandamus lawsuit. Except cases with the Los Angeles Asylum Office, unfortunately, we're saying 5 years. All the other asylum offices, 3 years. We should talk. Winasylum.com. Go to winasylum.com. Okay, WINASYLUM.com. Okay, Victoria, we do this almost every day in San Francisco lately. We've had tons of success with the Mandamus lawsuit in San Francisco, and also with helping a lot of people with the underlying asylum case too to increase their chances for success. We've got Nojim Ogunle. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. Says, thanks for your advice. Asylum granted in Maryland. Appreciate it a lot. You're welcome. I'm glad. Congratulations, Ogunle. I'm really glad to hear that you got asylum granted. And when you say for my advice, what do you mean? Do you mean on the YouTube channel? Is that where you got advice that you think helped you win your asylum case? If you don't mind, I would love to hear you tell us what you mean by my advice. Like, how did we advise you? Do you mean through YouTube? I hope so. Congratulations. That's great. Future secured in America through asylum. That's awesome. Congratulations. If I just filed a motion with the court to advance the court, how much chance do I have to advance it in Los Angeles? The question is this. Is it possible to move your hearing in immigration court forward? Like if you don't want to wait, if it's scheduled for a long time from now and you don't want to wait that long, can you have success through what's called a motion to advance, where you're asking the judge to basically change the date and make it sooner? Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that they grant these. If you have a really good reason, something related to like an urgent health concern or something like that, it's possible, but even then I would say it's pretty rare. So, at the end of the day, it depends on the specific circumstances. Like, why are you asking? What's your reasoning? And also, it just depends also on, like the courts, the judge's availability. How much calendar space do they have open near, closer in than what is currently scheduled? So, I mean, the answer is it's possible, but it's rare to have success with that kind of motion. All right. Now, listen, if it's a master calendar hearing that you're talking about, it's easy. There's an easy fix for this to move your case forward generally. You can get that master calendar hearing canceled. You can get it done away with, you can skip it, all right, and just go straight to the individual hearing. So that does move the case forward. You can almost certainly do that by doing what are called written pleadings, where basically you're like, hey, judge, I'm doing on paper ahead of time what we would normally do in person at that hearing. Because I'm doing it on paper now, there's no reason to come in for the hearing. We don't need to do the hearing. And the judge will almost certainly say, yes, okay, makes sense. And they'll cancel the master calendar and they'll schedule the individual hearing. So in that way, you're moving your case forward. All right. Good question. Wallace says, I had an asylum interview. It went well. And the AO showed a positive demeanor, but I am nervous because the decision is pending. Can an asylum officer put on a poker face and demeanor during an initial interview? Good question. Let's do it like this. So the question is this. let's say things go pretty well at your asylum interview, as far as you can tell. The officer is pleasant and you think that you answer the questions well, and they seem like they're pretty receptive, like they act positive toward you. And then after your interview, you're waiting and you get kind of nervous, like, wait a second, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to win, or were they just putting on a poker face and just acting nice, and really they're going to deny me? Well, listen, it's true that they are taught to be very neutral and objective and present a neutral sort of demeanor. Some of them err on the side of being more actually polite and positive, which I think is good. But that doesn't mean they're going to approve you. All right. The answer to your question is like, yeah, they do sometimes put on a poker face and then deny you. But just don't let it affect you. Okay. The fact that how they acted doesn't tell us how they're going to decide. It means nothing. All right. So just hope for the best based on the merits of your case. Okay. All right. Let's see. What are the approval rates like? Omar asks, what are the approval rates like in New Jersey? They're pretty high. The asylum approval rate in New Jersey is pretty high compared to most other places in the country. It's not the highest, but they're pretty high. Both they're okay at the asylum office, and they're pretty high in immigration court. So you're in a pretty good place. All right. I'd also like to ask if you would recommend to apply in New Jersey or move to another state. Well, they're higher in the immigration court is higher in New York than in New Jersey, but the asylum office has a higher approval rate. The New Jersey asylum office has a higher approval rate than the asylum office in New York. So that's kind of tricky. If you want to go to like the very best, if you're willing to move, the very best state is California, around the Northern California, especially San Francisco. Overall, it's going to be the best place. They have high approval rates both for immigration court and the asylum office. All right. Nice. Okay, if I lose my asylum case in New York City and appeal it, will it again take a few more years for it to be reviewed? Also, can I move it another court for appeal by motion of venue for NYC to SF, for example? If you, okay, let's do it like this. The question is this. If you lose your case in immigration court, are you looking at multiple years for the next step, the appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals? And during that time, can you move from one state to another in a way that would make it sort of favorable to give you a better chance to win in like an easier state? First part is probably going to take multiple years, yeah, for the appeal at the Board of Immigration Appeals to run its course. The second part of the question, no. In this context, moving will not help you. They will not. The BIA will apply the law that that covers the immigration court that you were in when your case was heard at the immigration court. It doesn't switch and be like, oh, now you went from New York to San Francisco. Now we're going to apply the law that covers California. No, it doesn't. It doesn't help you to move once your case is on appeal. Okay. It doesn't hurt you either. The case stays the same. All right. Andre Siquiera says, great videos, man. I appreciate your effort and help. Victims of attempted homicide win asylum. Good question. Andre, I don't know if you speak Spanish, but if you do, we have a Spanish language YouTube channel. It's called Asilo Aprobado. If you go to YouTube and search for Asilo Aprobado, you can find my Spanish language YouTube channel. The question is this. Is an attempted homicide enough for you to win asylum? So if someone tries to kill you, is that kind of harm going to be severe enough to rise to the level of persecution? So listen, if someone tried to kill you and they actually almost did, and they put you at objectively reasonable fear of imminent death, then there's a good argument to be made that incident alone, all by itself, counts as persecution, that kind of harm is sufficiently severe to rise to the level of persecution, which helps you to win your case. If they were armed, like here's an example. if someone puts a gun to your head and says, I'm going to kill you, or does like a mock execution, and because of that, you suffer severe trauma, psychological, emotional harm, enduring emotional harm from that as a result, that will be enough. That will constitute persecution. Okay. But it depends on the facts of your particular case. Okay. All right. All right. If that happened to you, Andre, I'm really sorry to hear that. If someone tried to kill you, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Okay. Najim says, how long does it take for the I-730? Good question. The question is this: how long does it take to bring a family member who's abroad to the United States on the basis of your asylum status after you've won asylum and we're bringing them here through this process using the form I-730? So listen, you know that if you win asylum and at the time that you applied for asylum, and the time you won asylum, you were married or you had children who were under age 21 and who remained unmarried, under age 21 at the time you applied and remained unmarried through the time of your grant of asylum, and they're abroad, you can petition to bring them here based on your asylum status using form I-730, but it does take a while. I checked this a couple days ago, I think, and it was, I want to say it was like 14.5 months. It might have been 18. I don't remember. It's somewhere between a year and a half or so. Okay. It takes a while. You can ask to expedite it based on humanitarian concerns, like if your family's in danger, but yeah, it's going to take a while, unfortunately. Okay. So, hey, Omar, about your question being from Sudan about whether you can get deported back there. You said there's war and the airport is closed. Can you get deported? Like, will they deport you back to there? So let's address this question like this. The question is this: what if you're from a country that is undergoing strife? Like maybe it's at war, or maybe they're just not keen to accept back deportees from the United States. Like if you get a deportation order, and you don't appeal, or you lose all of your appeals and you're supposed to get deported, will you actually be sent back to your country if that country's like in war, or if they say we don't want to accept people that are being deported from the United States? Well, it's true that there's a lot of countries that don't accept people from the U.S. being deported back to their countries, and that sometimes the U.S. doesn't deport people into conflict zones. But you'd be surprised, sometimes these things do happen. We have been deporting people back to places that are in very bad shape and danger, like from off and on again with Haiti, even in recent years when it's been an absolute disaster there, and to Venezuela. So there's no guarantee that, I won't be sent back just because my country's having problems. Okay. You could be eventually, especially, at least. All right. Alireza Garib says, I filed asylum in March 2020 and no interview yet. How long does it take for you to file the mandamus for the San Francisco? And most recently, how long after people get the interview or decision? Good question. I'm going to answer it like this. Here's the question is this. Once you file a mandamus lawsuit to try to force your asylum interview, to move your stalled case forward, how long does it take to actually get the interview? So listen, we've been doing this a lot lately with great success. And I would say that on average, our clients are probably getting the interview, maybe on average, like 3.5, maybe even 4 months, 3 to 4 months after we file the lawsuit. Once you get the interview, the decision usually comes very quickly, like a couple of weeks after the interview. But getting the interview, it can take a few months. Now, I got to tell you, in some cases, it happens much faster. Some cases, our clients have gotten the interview weeks after we sued instead of months. But in some cases, we get the interview notice quickly, like within 2 or 3 months of suing, but the actual interview date is further out in the future, 6, 7, maybe even 8 months, which is not ideal, but it's better than if you don't sue, because if you don't sue, you're probably going to be waiting multiple years, and that's not good, especially given what's coming with Trump. Okay. How long does it take for us to file, Ali Reza? It takes, from the time that you hire us, it takes 2 or 3 weeks for us to file the lawsuit. Okay. and you said that you applied in March 2020, yeah, you're right. You're in a good position, I think, to have success with this lawsuit. You should schedule a consultation with one of our asylum professionals right now. Reza, go to winasylum.com, winasylum.com. That's winasylum.com. Again, winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us to see if we think we can help you. It sounds like we probably are in a good position to help you have success with this Mandamus lawsuit if you applied in 2020. Okay. Mr. Monique says, you're always helpful. Thank you. Greetings from Turkey. You're welcome. Thank you. All right. All right. Hey, trucking and training, you're asking about a marriage-based case. I'm not the person to ask. I'm not the best person to advise you on that. We just do asylum. We don't do marriage-based immigration cases. So for that, you should talk to an immigration lawyer who focuses on excuse me, family-based immigration cases. Okay. All right. All right. Violin says, hey, Brian, can you seek asylum because of your past while there's a stable situation now, but you're afraid of the future? Interesting question. Let's do it like this. So here's the question. Can you win excuse me, let's try that again. Excuse me. The question is this. Can you win asylum if you've been through some bad things, some bad stuff happened in the past, but right now things are pretty stable? Maybe the situation that was bad in the past is not problematic for you right now, or maybe things are sort of better in your country right now, but you're still worried about, what could happen in the future. Can you win asylum under this circumstance? Yeah, it may be possible because you can win based on just on what's happened in the past, even if the officer thinks that you're not going to be harmed in the future. If what happened to you in the past was especially severe, okay? It's called a grant of humanitarian asylum in the absence of a well-founded fear of future persecution. But also you may be able to convince them that even though things are okay now, that there's a real risk that they're going to be bad again, or that you're going to be targeted again in the future. So the answer is, yeah, you may be able to win. We should talk about this. Go to winasylum.com so we can talk in detail. Okay? Winasylum.com, winasylum.com. All right. Nayeli Bustillo says, does having your case being administratively closed in the immigration court, do you accrue unlawful presence? No. If your case is administratively closed, you do not accrue unlawful presence while that case is administratively closed. However, if it is dismissed, then you do. It's a really important difference between administratively closed and dismissed. And a lot of people, you don't really know the difference. So it's something very particular that you need to find out. And then, an asylum lawyer can help you get certainty around that. All right. All right. Was it possible to cross the Mexico-U.S. border and seek asylum during Trump's first presidency between 2016 and 2020, says Mr. Monique? Some people, they did. There was times when very, very few people were getting through because of restrictions, asylum bans, basically. But no, there was always still at least some people getting through. So it wasn't impossible, but it was hard. There was times when there was not that many people getting through. All right. What else do we have? Let's go to TikTok. Can you include a fiance? Zizu says, can you include a fiance on a pending asylum application? The question is this. Can you include your fiance as a dependent in your asylum case? No, you can't. So listen, you can only include as a dependent in your case your spouse or your children, but those children have to be under 21 at the time that you file for asylum, and they have to be single at the time of the grant of asylum in order to benefit from your case. Single meaning not married. You cannot include a fiance, all right? You can get married, including in the U.S. Some people think, oh, it's too late because, we didn't get married in our home country. They think that you have to have been married in your native country, but that's not the case. You can get married in the U.S., and there's a lot of places in the U.S. where you can easily and cheaply and quickly get married, okay? So you can get married in the U.S., and then you can ask to have them added to your case. Even if you already applied, you can get married afterwards, and they can still be added to your case as long as they're added before you're granted asylum, before the grant comes through, okay? So that's how that works. Listen, if you're sick of waiting for your asylum interview, now is the time to act. Because of the Trump effect, I really think it's going to be harder to win asylum with every month that goes by with him in power again. If you've been waiting for years, you should talk to an asylum lawyer about possibly taking action by way of an asylum delay lawsuit to move your stalled case forward, okay? We've been doing this a ton lately to great effect. Our clients love it because it works. And we're actually offering a discount of this on this $500 through the end of the year. On January 1st, the discount goes away. But for right now, we're offering a discount of $500 on asylum delay lawsuits. If you want to hear all about that and talk through your particular case with one of our asylum professionals, you can do that at the website winasylum.com. That's where you can type in WINASYLUM.com to go and schedule a consultation with us. All right. We want to talk with you. We want to see what's going on. We want to hear about your case, hear about your goals, your priorities, talk about your situation, your immigration case, and tell you whether we think that we're in a position to help you. If we think that we are, we're going to detail for you exactly how. We're going to lay out for you the concrete steps that we will take to try to give you the best possible chance to win your case so that you can secure your future in America through asylum. Okay. Amir says on YouTube, how are the chances of winning asylum for an Iranian? Good question. So the question is this: how likely are you to win your asylum case as an Iranian asylum seeker? Well, listen, it's not possible for me to say, oh, that's a great case, or that's a bad case, or good chances or low chances based just on someone's country, okay? Because it doesn't work like that. There's no rule that says, oh, these countries get granted, these don't. It depends on your particular situation, the facts of your case, what has happened to you, or what it is about you that makes you think that you will be harmed in the future. Now, having said all that, I can tell you that yes, there are a lot of people from Iran that end up with good asylum cases because of the dynamics of the country. So we need to talk with you and tell you what we think about your particular situation. Let's do that. You can schedule that consultation right now. Go to the website winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. We've helped a lot of Iranians, and we've had very high success rates with them. Okay. Free Animals says, can I work in another state without changing my case address, knowing that I did asylum? Hold on, I don't understand. Another state without changing my case address. Let's do it like this. Here's the question. While your asylum case is pending with the asylum office, can you go and work in another state? Listen, you can work in any state legally with your work permit. Once you get your work permit, it's valid everywhere. But if you actually move to go work or just to move for any reason, you have to inform the asylum office. You need to do that. You should not hide that. You should not neglect to do that. You should update the asylum office of any change of address like you're supposed to do. You can use Form AR11 to do that. I recommend doing it online rather than in paper, okay? Now, if you move from the jurisdiction of one asylum office into the jurisdiction of another asylum office, your case gets transferred automatically. With the asylum office, there's no option. You don't get to choose whether your case moves or stays. It's automatic, okay? So keep that in mind. You might want to look at approval rates at different offices and the jurisdictions of each of them before deciding whether it's worth it to, whether you really want to move or not. Okay. Righty. Okay, hold on. What category can my spouse, Cigaretta Zelike says, what category can my spouse apply for work permit? My asylum case is pending for more than 150 days, and her application is just a month. I think if I understand the scenario correctly, hopefully this will address it. Okay, so the question is this: can your spouse, who is a dependent in your asylum case, get their work permit now if your case, you as the principal applicant, your case has already been pending for at least 150 days? Can your spouse apply for their work permit now? Yes, they can. It goes by how long your case as the principal applicant has been pending. This is true even if your spouse also filed their asylum application and their case has not yet been pending for 150 days. Let's say you applied and then 7 months later, your spouse applies as a principal applicant, but your spouse has also been included in your case as a dependent. Yes, they can apply right now for the work permit based on your pending asylum case. And the category is the same. It's the same as if they were applying based on their own application. It's still C8, the C8 eligibility category. Okay. So that's good news, right? Free Animal says just for 3 months. Listen, if you're moving for if you're going to be staying, let's say staying somewhere else for 3 months, it's questionable whether that counts as a move, whether you're changing address. If you believe it's only going to be 3 months and then you intend to go back and keep residing at your old address, I personally think it's fair to consider that to be not a change of address. I think that's considered a temporary stay such that you have not actually moved to somewhere else. I think that's reasonable. I don't think you're not going to find any asylum office guidance on this. I'm pretty sure, at least when I was an asylum officer, I never knew of any kind of hard rule around what counts as a move. Well, there is guidance around this, but it's not that detailed. It doesn't address like this scenario. Okay. So I think you'd be okay with 3 months of not doing the change of address form. But listen, you got to make sure someone's checking the mail back home because you might get that interview notice during that time. And if you miss that, that's not good, right? Defi says, I was a student in the UK for a year. I went there only to escape immediate persecution. I never went to college, but circumstances made me stay there for 1 year. What can I do now, sir? Well, if you're in the US, you can apply for asylum here if you're afraid of being harmed still. Okay. Back in your own country. All right. All right. Nice. Nice. All right. What does it mean? We've got Dream Chaser. What does it mean? What's the meaning of PD when the judge gives you that? Good question. So the question is this: what is PD, or prosecutorial discretion? That's what PD stands for. What does this mean? If the judge gives you PD, what is that? So listen, under the Biden administration, for a while, the prosecutors have been saying, you know what, there's certain people, if you're like not a criminal and you don't have other factors present in your case, we don't really care that much about deporting you. So we're actually okay if we just get rid of the case. If the judge dismisses the case, makes it go away, and we're not going to try to deport you anymore. Well, they can ask for this dismissal. It's considered an exercise of their prosecutorial discretion, of their ability to sort of handle cases how they want and pursue who they want, and not pursue who they don't want to pursue. So if someone tells you, oh, he got PD, it probably means that your case was dismissed from immigration court, but you need to talk with an asylum lawyer to figure out exactly what the status is, because that's really important to know what your status is. Okay. All right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Baby gal says, "Sir, do you accept a payment plan for the Mandamus lawsuit?" Yeah, the question is this: if you want to hire us for this asylum delay lawsuit, for the famous Mandamus lawsuit, do you have to pay for all of that up front at once? No, we offer a payment plan, right? So for really like all of our case types, we offer the option to pay an initial payment of usually a few $1,000s, followed then later by like some of our case types have just monthly payments where we charge your credit card or debit card each month for a certain amount of months, or they're like phased payments based on kind of milestones of what we're doing and where we are in the case. But the answer is you don't have to pay for it all up front and all at once. Payment plans are definitely available for all case types, including the Mandamus case, the asylum delay case, which, by the way, we're offering a discount right now of $500 through the end of the year. That offer goes away on January 1st. All right, take advantage of it. Go to winasylum.com to do that. WINASYLUM.com. Go to winasylum.com. So you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals so we can talk and see what's going on, tell you whether we think we're in a position to help you to secure your future in America through asylum. So that's it for today. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now my law firm, called Political Asylum Lawyers, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. If you want to talk with us about that, how we might be able to help you, go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, so we can talk in an asylum strategy session. All right. Till next time, I'm Brian Manning, and it's a pleasure and an honor to support you in your asylum journey. Bye, guys. Have a good